The pre-dawn silence over the Iranian capital was shattered at precisely 5:47 hours as the first wave of a massive, multi-layered aerial offensive began to penetrate the highly contested airspace above Tehran. At the vanguard of this operation was an Israeli F-16 operating under the call sign Iron, which was screaming toward a high-value command center belonging to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps while maintaining an altitude of 20,000 feet. This single aircraft was merely the tip of a much larger spear, as military sources confirmed that more than 90 Israeli aircraft, including the fifth-generation F-35 Adir, the F-16 Barak, and the F-15 RAV, were simultaneously descending upon the metropolis. The strategic objective was clear: to systematically dismantle the core infrastructure of the IRGC and render their command and control capabilities non-functional. As Iron Leader approached the target, the onboard targeting pod achieved a crisp infrared signature on the facility below, suggesting a routine, textbook precision strike. However, the operational environment shifted from clinical to chaotic in a matter of seconds when the aircraft's radar warning receiver erupted into a frantic series of alerts. An Iranian Thor M1 surface-to-air missile system, which had been omitted from the active threat list after being reported as destroyed by satellite imagery 2 days prior, suddenly initiated a terminal lock on the Israeli jet. The Thor M1, a radar-guided system known for its rapid engagement cycle, achieved a fire control track in less than 3 seconds, at a range of only 8 kilometers. Faced with a near-zero margin for error, the pilot of Iron Leader was forced to rely on pure muscle memory and the extreme physical capabilities of his airframe. Recognizing that flares are largely ineffective against radar-guided munitions like the Thor, the pilot executed a desperate, high-G right-hand brake, pulling 7 Gs to force a radical change in geometry. The maneuver was successful, as the missile's seeker head was unable to correct its flight path in time, causing the interceptor to streak harmlessly past the cockpit in a near miss that the pilot described as death knocking on the door. Despite surviving the immediate threat, Iron Leader found himself off course and at the wrong altitude, with the mission's complexity deepening as the hidden threat of the Thor M1 became apparent. It was later revealed through ground intelligence that the IRGC had adapted a novel strategy, treating war damage assessments like restaurant reviews. They would intentionally park active mobile units within the craters of previously destroyed targets, knowing that coalition satellites would likely overlook them. This tactical deception worked for approximately 90 seconds, until the advanced electronic warfare suite of an F-35 Adir, operating over the Narmak region, intervened. The Adir's ASQ-239 system, acting like a digital predator listening to echoes in the dark, passively detected the Thor's radar emissions and effectively neutralized the battery. During this brief window of electronic dominance, the IRGC crew utilized their remaining time not to fire again, but to broadcast the approach vectors of the incoming Israeli formation over a civilian cellular network. This move exploited a strategic gap, as coalition forces had refrained from disabling the civilian telephone system to avoid alienating the local population they ostensibly aimed to liberate. The data from the Thor team was quickly disseminated across the city, providing the Iranian defenders with a localized picture of the unfolding strike. 12 kilometers to the west, over the Sadr Khan district, an F-35 Adir moved to engage the financial headquarters of the IRGC Cooperative Foundation. This facility, which serves as the primary funding organ for various regional proxies and missile projects, was nestled between 2 fortified positions along a critical approach axis. Under heavy pressure, the Israeli pilot successfully deployed a Spice precision-guided bomb, which perforated the 4th floor of the building, effectively crippling the financial apparatus of the IRGC amidst the rubble. To the east, the tactical situation at the Parchin weapons complex was becoming increasingly fluid, as Iranian weapons officers attempted to time their own defensive maneuvers between incoming Tomahawk cruise missile strikes, creating a lethal environment for any aircraft in the vicinity. Meanwhile, in the southeastern sector of Tehran, a commander of a Bavar 373 battery, often described as Iran's domestic answer to the Russian S-300, was employing a sophisticated cat-and-mouse tactic with his Mirage 4 ESA search radar. By operating the radar in short, 2-second bursts, the commander was able to generate situational snapshots without providing enough emission time for Israeli anti-radiation missiles to achieve a lock. Utilizing the coordinates provided by the Thor team, the Bavar 373 battery eventually initiated a continuous fire control track on the incoming Barak and Ram formations. The Sayad 4 missiles, with a reported range of 125 miles, represent a significant achievement for the Iranian defense industry under international sanctions, and their presence forced the Israeli strike package into a high-threat envelope. While the F-35 Adir units were capable of managing these long-range threats through stealth and advanced jamming, the F-16 Baraks, carrying heavy external loads of munitions, faced a far more perilous situation. One Adir pilot noted that the Bavar system became active immediately after the suppression of the Thor battery in Narmak, necessitating a secondary engagement that eventually forced the Mirage radar to shut down after a series of targeted electronic strikes. Despite these tactical victories, the primary target in Narmak, the IRGC's Regional Intelligence Directorate, remained operational and intact as the morning progressed. The thick smoke and debris from 4 days of sustained aerial bombardment had begun to take a toll on the effectiveness of precision munitions. Granite Flight, a secondary formation of F-16 barracks, attempted to prosecute targets from 18,000 feet, but found their forward-looking infrared images obscured by particulate matter in the atmosphere. The Spice bombs, which rely on scene-matching algorithms to achieve sub-3-meter accuracy, were unable to find a match through the haze, which looked more like a dirty aquarium to the seekers than a recognizable urban landscape. While GPS backup was available, its 10-meter circular error probability was deemed insufficient for targets in densely populated areas, where command centers often share structural walls with civilian apartment buildings. In such environments, a 10-meter deviation could mean the difference between a successful strike and a catastrophic civilian casualty event. To mitigate this, the strike package relied heavily on Hermes 900 reconnaissance drones circling below the smoke layer at 8,000 feet, providing real-time infrared data directly to the pilots. However, the Iranians recognized the critical role of these drones. Approximately 22 kilometers to the west, an Iranian Yak-130, armed with R-73E infrared-guided missiles, was vectored to intercept one of the Hermes drones. The drone, which lacks defensive systems and significant speed, was a vulnerable target, described by analysts as a three-legged horse in a high-stakes race. If the Hermes were to fall, the entire southern strike package would be effectively blinded, unable to confirm targets through the smog. As an Adir pilot moved to intercept the Yak-130, a new and far more dangerous threat emerged from a garage in a narrow Narmak street. Captured by the Hermes drone's camera just before the interception attempt, a heavy vehicle was seen erecting a Qatar 110 ballistic missile. This long-range weapon possesses the capability to strike any target within Israel, and ground crews were observed connecting fuel lines with practiced efficiency, suggesting a launch could occur in less than 30 minutes. This discovery triggered an immediate shift in priorities. The Combined Air Operations Center, managing the battle from hundreds of miles away, ordered the nearest available aircraft, Granite-led, a single-seat F-16 Barak, to divert from its primary intelligence center target to neutralize the ballistic missile. The task of reprogramming a 2,000-pound JDAM in a single-seat cockpit while flying through heavy smoke and monitoring multiple radio frequencies was described as the ultimate test of pilot multitasking, akin to changing a GPS destination on a mobile phone while entering a high-speed highway during a thunderstorm, except the highway is a lethal combat zone. To the north, in the Pastoran region, another Barak pilot managed to find a 3-second gap in the smoke caused by winds from the Alborz Mountains, allowing a spice bomb to lock onto the Ministry of Intelligence and strike a specific window on the 3rd floor. Yet elsewhere, pilots were forced to orbit their targets as civilian foot traffic near IRGC logistics centers prevented the release of munitions. The diversion of Granite led to the Qatar 110 site created a ripple effect across the entire strike package, forcing a rapid redistribution of targets among aircraft already low on fuel. Despite the chaos, Granite-led initiated a high-speed, non-standard dive from 15,000 feet to ensure the JDAM hit the narrow street. The impact was cataclysmic. The 2,000-pound warhead detonated just as the Qatar 110's solid fuel ignited, turning the street into an inferno and vaporizing the missile before it could leave the ramp. The mission, however, was far from over. Pilots were now operating on razor-thin fuel margins, with some displays showing only 4,200 pounds, enough for barely 11 minutes over the target area before a forced diversion to friendly airfields in Iraq would be required. In these final, desperate minutes, an F-15 ROM utilized its advanced APG-82 active electronically scanned array radar to map the terrain through the smoke, sharing the data via Link 16 with the rest of the formation. This collaborative effort allowed a final GBU-31 to be delivered through the roof of a besieged weapons warehouse in southern Tehran, where the IRGC's local militia stored its hardware. As the Israeli aircraft began their egress from Iranian airspace, the tally of the morning's engagement stood as a testament to the complexity of modern urban warfare. 2 SAM systems destroyed, 1 enemy aircraft downed, and a strategic ballistic missile neutralized, though at the cost of several primary ground targets remaining operational due to the friction of fog, smoke, and the necessity of preventing collateral damage. The aircrews returned to base, having navigated a landscape where high technology met desperate, low-tech ingenuity. Leaving the IRGC's infrastructure shattered,